This isn't just another story about crypto. What we're really talking about is a war for the future of money itself, and it's being fought on a whole bunch of different fronts. The prize? Well, it's control over every single dollar you spend, save, and send. And the weapon at the very center of it all is the stablecoin.
So, let's just start with a really simple idea. What if money finally caught up with the rest of our digital world? What if it was instant, global, and practically free to use? That is the incredible promise of stablecoins, and it's a promise that could totally rewire our entire financial system as we know it.
I mean, just look at the difference. On one hand, you've got the old way, traditional finance. If you want to send money, you can take days to settle, and it's going to cost you a pretty penny in fees, right? But on the other hand, you've got the stablecoin alternative. We're talking instant settlement with fees so low you'd barely even notice them. This isn't just a small improvement, it's a complete game changer.
Okay, so when you propose a change that big, that disruptive, you don't just get a round of applause, you get a fight. And the very first front in this war is a massive domestic battle for billions and billions of dollars.
So what exactly are they fighting over? This number right here, $187 billion. That's how much money we're talking about in credit card fees in just 1 year. And now all of it is suddenly up for grabs.
So here's how the battle lines are being drawn. On one side, you've got these retail giants, right? Think Walmart, Amazon. Every single time you swipe your card, they're paying a fee to networks like Visa and MasterCard. Well, stablecoins give them a way to just bypass those networks entirely and take back those huge sums of money for themselves.
A fight this huge was obviously going to get Washington's attention, and that's where the Genius Act comes in. It's a law designed to set the rules of the road, and probably its most important rule is this. It specifically bans the companies that issue stablecoins from paying out any interest. The goal here was to make it crystal clear that stablecoins are meant to be digital cash for payments, not some kind of speculative investment.
But, and this is a huge but, the law created this massive loophole. While the companies that actually create the stablecoins can't pay you interest, the platforms where you use them, like crypto exchanges, they absolutely can. And you better believe they're using that loophole to offer all sorts of rewards and high yields to get you on their platform.
So you might be wondering, where's all this yield coming from? Well, it's generated from things like lending out funds or by providing the liquidity that makes these new financial markets work. And the returns, they can be anywhere from 4% to well over 10%. We're talking way more than you'd ever get from a typical bank savings account.
And this right here is exactly why the entire traditional banking industry is freaking out. I mean, this quote from the American Bankers Association says it all. They see this as a genuine threat to their existence. They are terrified of a massive flood of money leaving their bank accounts and pouring into the crypto world. And they are lobbying like crazy to get this loophole closed for good.
But, this powerful new technology isn't without some serious dangers of its own. And that brings us to the second front in the stablecoin wars, the really critical fight to make them actually stable and prevent a total meltdown.
Okay, so here is the fundamental risk. A normal bank, if it gets into trouble, it has a backstop. It's called the Federal Reserve. But stablecoin issuers, historically, have been operating without that safety net. So what happens if everybody panics and tries to cash out at the exact same time? The whole thing could just collapse.
And believe me, this isn't just a theory, it has happened. In May of 2022, the stablecoin Tether somehow survived a massive $10 billion bank run in just 7 days. A year later, USDC, one of the most trusted stablecoins out there, saw its value crash down to 88 cents when its banking partner, Silicon Valley Bank, went under. These events made the risk impossible to ignore.
These crises were really the final wake-up call that regulation was needed. So that very same Genius Act we were just talking about, it wasn't just about defining payments. It was also about building some guardrails to stop these meltdowns from happening again. And it passed with overwhelming support from both sides of the aisle.
So how exactly does the Act try to build that trust? Well, it really rests on a few key pillars. First, that ban on direct yield we talked about reinforces that this is supposed to be like cash, not a risky bet. Second, mandatory annual audits to prove the money is actually there. And finally, Treasury oversight to add a layer of government supervision. It's a framework really designed to bring some much-needed stability and transparency.
And that brings us to the final, and honestly, the most important front in this whole war. Because the future of money is not just a domestic issue anymore. It has become a global geopolitical race, a new kind of digital Cold War.
And on the world stage, you have two completely opposing visions that are competing for dominance. The US is betting on a decentralized, private sector-led system that's built on dollar stablecoins. At the same time, China is pioneering a centralized, state-controlled digital currency, what's known as a CBDC.
Now, the American model has this really powerful secret weapon. As the global demand for dollar stablecoins grows, the companies that issue them have to go out and buy safe, dollar-based assets, mostly U.S. government debt, to back them up. This creates this incredible cycle that strengthens the U.S. dollar and makes it cheaper for the U.S. government to borrow money. Some people are calling it exorbitant privilege 2.0.
China's model, completely different. Their guiding principle is small value anonymity, high value traceability. What that means is your daily coffee purchase might be private, but any serious transfer of money is being watched and analyzed by the state in real time. This makes it an incredibly powerful tool, not just for the economy, but for social control.
So this really lays out the ultimate scorecard for the world. The U.S. model's safety depends on the private market. China's is guaranteed by the state. But here's the biggest difference. China's model can offer interest directly to users, which makes it super competitive, whereas U.S. stablecoins can't. So it's a classic choice for every other country. Do you go with state-guaranteed safety and yield, or private sector innovation and openness?
And in the end, it all boils down to this one question. This whole multi-front war between retailers and banks, between innovators and regulators, and between the US and China, it isn't just about a new piece of tech. It's a fundamental battle over control, privacy, and power that is going to define our financial world for decades. The only question left is who's going to get to write the rule.